What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and for those of you that are new, welcome to Chaos Arcade. Today we're trying out something a little bit new. We're going to be doing a little bit of anime talk. And what anime are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about Sword Art Online, specifically more on the first 12 episodes of Season 1 and Progressive, the new movie that came out a while ago. I know we're late. Well, technically, I'm late, but I'm always late to everything. Just ask my boss. Been late ever since he's hired me. So, enough talk. Let's get into it. So, the way we're going to be starting this is you're going to be seeing the opinion, and I can't emphasize this enough, opinion of somebody that's only watched season one, and it kind of felt like that the series fell off, and comparing that to the thoughts of somebody that has watched the whole entire series, fell in love with it so much that ended up buying the light novels and has been reading the light novels. So we're going to be comparing the Aincrad arc to the progressive, and then Scott's going to be comparing all three of them, which is going to be the Aincrad arc, progressive, and the light novel. So starting off with me, I ended up loving those first 12 episodes. And I will be honest, I really fell in love with, the characters. I fell in love with the story of being trapped in this game and them having to survive in this game. And if they ended up dying in the game, they ended up dying in real life. And I also fell in love with the characters. I ended up falling in love more specifically with the two characters, which are Kirito and Asuna. And I ended up falling in love with the relationship. I am a big person that is basically falls in love with anything that has to do with love. And I do definitely love a lot of rom-com. One of my favorites being Horimiya. I honestly really fell in love with the relationship. I thought it was honestly really amazing. And the small family that ended up getting created between them, and just seeing their lives in this video game and how they ended up adapting, I honestly really fell in love with it. However, after those first 12 episodes, it definitely did fall off a little bit for me. Now, a while back ago, me and Scott ended up going to see Progressive at the movie theaters, and I gotta say, honestly, I really enjoyed it. I know it takes a whole different perspective into the whole entire story, but I really like following the whole entire story of Asuna, and I do realize that there's a lot of new characters. They definitely did switch the story up a lot, but like I've always felt that they could have done so much more with that arc. And I'm honestly really excited and kind of happy that they're actually going back and kind of extending it, because I felt like it was just such a big opportunity to just let go. And I do understand that the author ended up writing this story in what, like 1990?
No, it was the early 2000s.
Oh,
I don't
early
remember.
2000s?
Yeah, and
Sorry.
it was a web novel that he started publishing in like the early 2000s. Let me see if I can find a year while you keep talking.
So I understand that, he ended up doing it in the early 2000s, and maybe he just, wanted to kind of get through that arc as quickly as possible,
Um,
but
2002.
2002.
Yeah.
But either way, honestly, I really did enjoy Progressive. I understand that, the very first episode of the Aincrad arc was honestly extended for about 2 hours. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. I really did. I do think they're gonna switch a lot of things, just because there's definitely new characters that have actually never really been introduced or were in the story, if I'm not mistaken, at all in the original story.
Yeah, no, you're talking about Asuna's friend, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember. She's not even in the light novel. She's not even in the progressive light novel. She's a character they completely made up just for the movie.
So I'm honestly very interested in seeing where it goes. Um, and honestly, this might actually bring me back to Sword Art Online. I know I'm the kind of person that has knocked it out before, but I gotta say, it definitely has a good story, a good concept going for it. And honestly, like I've said this before this had come out, or even knew it was going to come out, that I definitely felt that they there was a large potential for that arc to just be extended and
Fleshed out, be more
right,
fleshed out.
be more fleshed out. I definitely felt like it was rushed. Um, but yeah, those that's my thought and opinion. But again, I honestly just have seen season one, and after that, didn't watch it again until Progressive came out. I definitely want to hear the thoughts of somebody like Scott that has watched all the seasons, has gone out and read all the novels, just because he has honestly fallen in love with this story, on what he thinks about Progressive.
SAO is one of my all-time favorite series. Now, that being said, it's definitely like there's better series. I'm well aware of that. It's not perfect by any means. And honestly, for at least the first two seasons, I don't think the anime did justice to the light novel. Um, Obviously, we're just talking about the Aincrad arc, the first 12 or like 13 episodes or whatever it was. So yeah, basically the Aincrad arc was an extremely good arc in my opinion, but it's kind of like what Kevin said. It didn't really feel too fleshed out. And that really is the case kind of in the light novel as well. Aincrad arc is done in one or two books, like in the first one or two books. And basically, the author goes back later before Progressive. There's still main story titles and adds in, all the extra side stories that make up the majority of what fleshes out the anime into 12 episodes. But there is some stuff too that gets cut that was definitely cut from the anime that's in the light novel. Honestly, a lot of character building was cut from the anime compared to the light novel. And one of the biggest things is Kirito's character overall kind of changes quite a bit. Um, and I've definitely seen other people say this. I mean, everyone kind of knows because those anime tropes of your overpowered main character. Everyone kind of sees Kirito as that like super OP main character, and I mean he's definitely a strong character, but he is, for lack of a better word, a bitch in the light novels. Most of the time he doesn't believe in himself, and it usually takes having to do something for someone else for him to actually do it, like protecting somebody he cares about, so on and so forth. Um, but honestly, I think they did Asuna's character a very big disservice in the anime compared to the light novel. Because she's a very like from a psychological perspective, obviously the series delves into the psychology of what it would be like being trapped in a video game and basically made to fight for your life. Um, but I don't think it's really touched in the anime, but in the light novels, you find out that this was her first time ever experiencing VR, maybe even video games at all. And what it was is, you later find out her dad was part of a company that I believe had a close relationship to the company that created Sword Art Online. And her brother, who worked with her dad, was able to get a copy of the game because it was released in very limited quantities. But he happened to be away on a business trip at the time, and because he was gone, and the thought of the idea of it seemed interesting to Asuna, she decided to dive into the game and give it a go when it first launched. Um,
Sorry,
So this
real
is her.
quick. I gotta say,
Oh,
so far from what you're saying, like Progressive has done a pretty good job at like showing it. Well,
w-
just from the Asuna part, where it showed that it was her first time, and then she ended up using her brother's console and
right.
video game. So far
Yeah.
from that aspect, Progressive is right there. But sorry, go
Right.
on. I didn't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt you.
No, no, no. You're good. So and then what happens once she gets there is not touched on at all, I believe, in the anime. Uh, and it greatly differs from the main title light novels. I own Progressive, but I haven't read it yet, so I'm not 100% sure how they, flesh out that aspect of the story in that series. But in the main title novels, you're told that she basically spent at least weeks, if not a few months, just locked up in one of the towns, or I'm sorry, one of the inns in the town of beginnings, the starter town that everyone spawned into, where Kayaba made the announcement in the square that everyone got teleported to. She had a mental breakdown, and I mean, I think that's a very real and correct analysis of the situation. You've never experienced anything like this. Your first time doing it, you get trapped in it and told that you have to fight to the death to get out. um so it was very interesting, and then she managed it. It's very empowering. She's able to overcome her fears and go out there. She basically gets to the point like, sitting here isn't going to do anything for me. Like, the only what's going to get me out of here faster is getting out of here, and just uh, progressing. Helping everyone progress through the game so that we can get out of here as fast as possible. And she manages, in some amount of time. I don't know. There's a lot of like substantial time skips in both the anime and the light novel, non-progressive main story, where like all of a sudden it'll just skip like a year or 6 months. So I don't remember the exact time frame, but she definitely goes like through a big change in a relatively short amount of time in the grand scheme of everything. Um, but their relationship, Kirito and Asuna's relationship, gets so much more fleshed out in the light novel too. They're very much like, I wouldn't say dependent, because obviously dependency in a relationship isn't what you want, but they definitely help each other get through things. There's this, and the problem is without all of that, extra, fleshing out and backstory. One of the big complaints of for a lot of the the way the female characters are written, from people who've only watched the anime, is that they are all they're all kind of like reliant on Kirito and like just expect him to solve it, and all that. When in reality, you know you see the parallels between the light novel in the anime if you've read the light novel, where in reality it's that they all look up to each other, and they all want to be at the same level and capable of the same thing. So even Kirito doesn't, he sees the strengths in every one of his friends, and just like they see strength in him, um he is kind of ends up being the central figure of the group, obviously, because it's a harem to an extent. But there's just so much more building of the relationships between everyone. And there's so many little things too, where like there'd be like one-off little lines. I can't really remember anything from the Aincrad arc. While I really do like the anime, and I really do like the story, it is far from the best anime adaptation, and it really doesn't do the light novel. What's the saying?
Any
It doesn't do the
justice?
light. Yeah, it doesn't do the light novel any justice.
So,
Uh,
what do you think about Progressive when you ended up watching it?
I mean, I think I kind of looked at you like and had a look on my face of what the fuck did I just watch? Um, because it was like I said, I haven't read Progressive yet, but they did include things that were from the original, original series of light novels, but they did change them. So, like, I forget the name of her friend, but remember they're out fighting those like plant things
Yeah,
when they end up getting separated.
yeah. A spoiler alert: she ends up leaving her. Yeah,
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you should just put a spoiler alert before all this.
yeah. Sorry to cut
So
that.
that scene the is in the light novel, the main series light novel, but it's with Kirito and some random dude that he meets. Basically, like, at the beginning of the story, all of the beta testers jet out of the towns of beginnings and go to where they know the best quests and everything are. And uh, Kirito's in this town farming for a specific drop from those plant things. And he runs into some other beta tester, and they decide to help each other out. And they're looking for a specific variant of that plant to spawn, and they end up getting it to spawn. Uh, Kirito being, if I remember correctly, Kirito let the dude have the first one that spawned, and he said that just help me get the next one, and the dude says, oh yeah, I'll keep helping you. But then there's a different type of monster where, like, if you attack it, it'll let out this AoE kind of attack that attracts uh other monsters of the same variant, and lures a bunch of them in, and then just like tells Kirito peace out and takes off and leaves him for dead. So I mean, it's a much more extreme, like, it's sort of kind of the same thing. Like, I don't obviously that can't happen in the Progressive series because the Asuna's friend uh doesn't exist in the novels. I mean, but at the end of the day, it definitely it was, looking at it objectively with no bias, it was good. It was, I think, what a lot of non-super fans or just non, like, hardcore fans would have wanted to see from the original series, and I'm sure it will continue to be that. Uh, because obviously the author, to an extent, enjoys writing about the Aincrad arc if he's committed to write, a whole separate series about it. Um, so I'm sure, it was just disappointing for me as a super fan, with a certain expectation of what it was going to be, and then it not being that. I mean, I can't hold anything against it for not being what I wanted it to be. It was still good. It was just different than what I was expecting.
So,
Um,
what was it that you wanted to be?
I honestly, I think I wanted it to be, darker and grittier and maybe touch on that aspect of, Asuna really pulling herself up by herself versus having someone there for her. You know, I think while, other people empowering other people is, definitely a great thing to have in the stories. I think a lot of times too, in life, people have to figure things out for themselves and work through a lot of things themselves. So I think it would have been very empowering for her character to see her work through it all by herself and overcome that, and just get through it all.
But I mean, what do you mean by like darker and grittier? Because like I don't know. Like for me, it honestly looked the same as the actual anime. It didn't look like it was less than that, basically.
I mean, when I say darker and grittier, I just like I said, touch on that, like, I guess the darker side of human emotions, like
Oh, so more
despair.
psychological than than actual like gruesome where you keep seeing people
Right,
die and
right.
stuff. Okay, so it's more like a psychological way of.
Right. I mean, you're gonna, as they're fleshing it out, I'm sure we're gonna see more like psychological in the sense that, because the story still has some very like Kirito goes through some pretty psychologically scarring things, like the whole thing with the oh god, Sachi's guild. I think it was the Moonlit Black Cats, the ones where he was like super over level, and for whatever reason he decided to join them because he thought he could protect them, and then he ends up being the reason. Well, he blames himself for them all dying. I mean, that's something that sticks with him for a long time throughout the series. I mean, that's the thing. Like a lot of stuff that happens in the Aincrad arc sticks with him. I mean, at the end of the day, it's seriously emotionally traumatizing. Because this and the whole thing too with the interaction with laughing coffins during the murder in the safe zone arc, sub arc of the Aincrad arc, where when they finally get to the bottom of it and approach the dude out in the woods and the three leaders of laughing coffin. That was the other thing that those three guys, the scene I'm talking about. They're like
I
out in the
do where
forest.
where they ended up going to go revive the girl's dragon thing, dragon
No, no,
pet.
no. No, no. That's this happens after that. So you remember there was that arc where like they were like it was like just a little like side arc of Kirito and Asuna. It was before they started dating.
Oh, where they
It
go
was
and
like
investigate like in town murders and they don't get
right,
the
right.
tablet. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so right at the end of that, they have an interaction with if you're just watching anime, they just seem like three guys from Laughing Coffins, the number one murder guild in SAO, and then like that's just kind of it. But those 3 characters have so much significance in the whole story. Like, they don't even name them in the anime. I think they might name the leader. They might name him, but I don't think they do. I don't think they name any of the 3 of them, but they're such significant characters in the following arcs.
And
Uh, s
I mean, hopefully they end up putting that in like progressive, right?
well,
And
I don't know because I don't think he plans on because that's such a like I don't know the author's his exact direction of what he wants to do with progressive. What I had always heard that he wanted to do is just write the Aincrad arc that as he reflects back on it now as a much more mature author that he would have wanted to write 20 years ago now. That's how I always took it. So I don't know if he's going to continue the story into Fairy Dance and then into the GGO arc and Alicization and so on and so forth. Um, so I like, and the thing is from what I understand, again, this isn't I haven't I've purchased a couple of the progressive novels to have to start reading. I haven't read any of them. My understanding was it was one book per floor. So they get through 74 floors. That's 74 books. That's going to take them a long time to write, if that really is the case. And then after that, like, I really don't think there's much more to flesh out. Because in the grand scheme of things, Fairy Dance and the GGO arc, the first arc of the second season, are relatively short to begin with, and I think they're really well fleshed out in the light novels already. So I think it was just the fact that the Aincrad arc really just didn't have what he wanted it to have when he originally wrote it. Because it was originally even a web novel. It wasn't even like it was, published to be sold. He was publishing it for free on his website from I believe 2002 to 2008 is what uh, the Wikipedia page about it said. Um, so I really think it's just gonna be that, and that's it. Because I think now too, even between where I'm at now and starting it, his writing's obviously gotten better. The light novels that used to be web novels, uh, from what I most of the time, when you have a web novel turn into a light novel, there's still differences between the 2. So I'm sure he already even changed it from the original that came out in 2002. It's just obviously as he matures, it's the most popular aspect of his, I believe, his most popular work, and I'm sure it probably resonates with him too to a certain extent. So, but I can't see him continuing it into the arcs after Aincrad though. Once he finishes it,
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know anything about the other arcs, but I definitely did think that this arc definitely needed a little bit more. You know, it always felt that way to me, at least. Um, I understand they're gonna be two different, completely different stories. You know, and the only reason I'm honestly like we're comparing them is just comparing the two perspectives of two different views. From somebody that really enjoyed those first 12, 13 episodes, whatever it is, and then kind of felt like it felt off afterwards. And comparing somebody that honestly has fallen in love with this series completely. Honestly, for me, like I've said, I really do think it's going to be good. I'm kind of excited about it. And I do understand your points, though. Um, but don't you expect like a little bit at least from the original story to be in this, or do you think he's just gonna rewrite the whole entire thing completely?
I'm sure that, well, to a certain extent, it already has, I guess, because I
Right, but
mean,
a lot of the characters you saw in the anime you see in here. And
right,
there's
yeah, no,
some new ones of course,
I
but
I don't think he's gonna cut characters, if that's what you're saying. I mean, obviously, now that this other girl's been introduced, though, things are gonna have to change, to a certain
right.
degree. I'm sure at some point, her and Asuna will have some kind of, reconciliation,
Well, I mean,
or,
they kind of did in the movie towards the end a little bit. Like,
yeah, but I mean, like, an actual, like, face-to-face conversation,
okay,
confrontation,
yeah,
whatever.
I understand. And also, like, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, like, like it kind of looked like her and Kirito were gonna continue from that point on because they both went in to the second floor together.
Right, I mean, which is completely different from the main title, not light novel, because it's just like the anime where Kirito, has his whole little beater speech about how, he's there for himself and screw everybody else kind of thing. Um, yeah, she doesn't follow him. That's just kind of it until they cross paths a couple of times. I think they mentioned it in the anime too, where because obviously he's doing the frontline boss battles, and she ends up joining. Okay, here's this is just something that's always annoyed me. In the anime, the Asuna's guild's name is the Knights of the Blood Oath, and in the light novels and like everywhere else, it's just the Knights of Blood. So I don't understand why that's different. It's probably some translation thing or something, but I don't know. That's something that's just always bugged me to a certain degree that I just wanted to throw in there. But yeah, I mean, if they do, yeah, that's a great point. I think I actually was thinking about that right before you said it. Yeah, it's gonna have to be different if they're gonna continue. If their more intimate relationship is starting there versus much later on in the story, like in the main title anime and light novels.
Right, and honestly, I'm kind of excited to see if it does. Hopefully, their relationship is still as good as the anime was. I don't know how it was in the light novel, but I'm hoping it's still as good as it was in the anime.
Right, definitely. Yeah, no, it's they're while Kirito does have a harem, he doesn't like he's not an Issei or fucking
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is.
oh, you know what? I just pulled that name out of nowhere. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who that
But he's definitely not like a etchy harem.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, he's 100% true to Asuna throughout the entire series, and it's great too because all these other girls do have feelings for Kirito, but they don't like fight over him per se. Like because you see that like in a lot of other harem animes is the female characters like they're friends, but they don't really support each other or anything. And obviously because they like the guy, but SAO is definitely one of the ones where while pretty much every other female main character likes him, they still respect their relationship and don't try to split them up or anything. So
I mean, that's honestly really cool, to be honest with you. The whole entire them not trying to split up, not the harem thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, see, the thing is, right, that I watched Sword Art Online in, I think, like 2012 when it
when
first
did
came
it
out,
come
right?
out? Hold
I
on, let me
think it was
see.
2012.
I'll check while you're talking.
All right, so if it was 2012, I think I watched it in
Yeah,
2012.
it was 2012.
Okay.
I think that when did we? No, I watched it probably 2013 or 2014.
So when I ended up watching it, I was honestly just getting back into anime, so I gotta say that they were probably one of the first like anime relationships, like build up that I saw. And honestly, I really liked it, and I fell in love. Like I said, that was one of the strongest driving points for me to continue that anime. But it definitely did fell off after the, well, at least for story wise, for me, it felt off after the 12, 13 episode, whatever it was. But that's one of the reasons why I definitely ended up enjoying that, and I'm kind of hoping I get to see more of it in progressive.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't it's hard now. I don't know if I can say they're my number one ship,
Yeah, no,
but
same here. But like, I
but they're
think it was the
definitely
first
up
one.
there. They're definitely up there. Um yeah, after watching like Horimiya, like Hori and Miyamura,
Oh
like
yeah,
that's dude, fuck.
we might have to do
Also
that soon. But honestly, that if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I honestly fell in love with that anime. First episode I watched, I was hooked, and I was like, I
yep,
gotta binge to watch all of this, and
yep.
I did that same day.
Yeah, that was one of my I'm just gonna watch one episode, see how this anime is, and oh god, it's 5 a.m. What happened? Series. So
Yeah, honestly, same, bro. It was really good. We're probably
yeah,
going to talk about this in a future episode. Highly
I have
recommended.
yeah.
Anyways, do you have anything else to add into this conversation?
Yeah, go watch season 2, season 3, and season 4.
That's not gonna happen. Honestly, probably not gonna happen. I will be straight up honest with you. I gotta finish Overlord, and I think after I do that, we're probably gonna make an episode about that because that anime is really good. Also, if you haven't watched it, highly recommend it.
Okay, and you're gonna listen to me going forward, and you're gonna watch all the big isekais because they're all just as good or better than Overlord.
Maybe. I don't know. Still haven't decided yet. There's so much I want to do, bro, but like so little time. But anyways, don't want to ramble. Thank you for watching. If you've stuck all the way through this, if you haven't watched it, honestly, definitely suggest watching Progressive. Extremely good. I liked it a lot. And definitely watch Sword Art Online. I suggest just 12 episodes, 13 episodes, but if you want to listen to Scott, watch the whole entire thing.
Look, I will like it can be like trust me when I say season 3 and season 4 from an unbiased standpoint is substantially better than the the second half of the first season and the third season. Like I said, I'm super biased towards the second season because my favorite character is introduced in the second season. Um, but season 3 and 4 are phenomenal. So
I mean, that can be possible, you know. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy this video. And as always, thanks for watching.